Right friends, welcome back to Learning Space, and Civil Services preliminary exam is over on 3rd June, and now we are producing two modules. Both are equally important. The first module is discussing about various questions which came from our lectures directly, and we are producing with the relevant video clips, right? And the second module, most important, is what are the lessons to be learned from the exam on 3rd June, right? So what are the important changes required to be made in our journey, and what is the course correction needed? These are evident from the second lecture, so please view both the lectures. And in this module is titled as 47 questions directly from Learning Space, and second module, as I have already told you, it talks about important takeaways from the examination, or you can say the analysis of the paper, right, will take place in the second part, or you can say second video. Please watch second video also, that is most important because it helps you to do the necessary changes in your preparation, or you can say course correction in your preparation, right? This is the first video. First video is concentrating on what are the questions directly you can infer from the Learning Space lectures. And one important aspect, don't forget, we have not touched history and art and culture. All of you are well aware, we have not touched history and art and culture, and even geography also we completed only 40% of the lectures, and polity we have not started the lectures, but some of the questions which are relevant with the current affairs, or you can say which are related to the current affairs, can be answered. So overall 47 questions directly came, and for 43 questions we are enclosing the relevant video clippings. Relevant video clippings are being enclosed for 43 questions. Only 4 questions we could not find the clipping because several times I taught orally, right? So here this C series we have taken the first question. Here the important aspect one should not forget is about Air India and first democratically elected Communist Party government formed in a state in India. And in fact, Air India I taught 2 times when it was nationalized, one during the editorials and after that one during the revision also. It was nationalized in 1953, and this aspect we discussed in the editorial lecture. So if you know Air India and this Communist Party government formed in the year, if you know about these two things, you can easily answer this question. So these things were taught clearly, and of course State Bank of India, this one was also taught when the associate banks were merged, right? So if you know these things, you can easily answer this question. And please view the clippings of Air India nationalization and this Communist Party government which was formed in a state in India, right? Tata Sons set up, I am talking about the history of Air India. Tata Sons set up Tata Airlines in 1932, and in 1946 Tata Airlines was renamed Air India, and subsequently it was nationalized in 1953. Article 356 was used for the first time in 1959 to dismiss the Communist Party government in Kerala led by EMS Namboodiripad. Look into the next one. This is very simple question. I taught 3-4 times, and please view the relevant clipping of the video. If you see 9-judge bench, this is about right to privacy, unanimous judgment. Here privacy is intrinsic to life and liberty, and it is inherent right protected by the part 3 of the Constitution, and it is intrinsic part of life and liberty under Article 21. Look into the next one. This is no doubt difficult to answer, but the point to note here is I explained this 2 times in the lectures. One during February 2018, and this is in editorial discussion subsequent to budget, and later on also one more time I explained about this, right? Please view the clipping of the video, right? So please don't ignore any part of the lecture. They are very important from examination perspective. Based on the recommendations of this Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices, there are 23 crops. In fact, one is 7 cereal crops are there under MSP formulae. 7 cereal crops are there: paddy, wheat, and coarse cereals like this millet, this sorghum, this ragi, this maize. So all these things are included. Then 5 pulses: tur dal, urad dal, moong dal, gram, all these things are included. Then 7 oil seeds: groundnut, rapeseed, soya bean, then this sunflower, sesame, all these things are included. At the same time, copra, sugarcane, cotton, raw jute. So total makes 23 farm produce, or you can say 23, including 4 commercial crops. So 23 crops, or you can say now in the government's ambit of this minimum support price, right? Right, so this is about capital infusion into the public sector banks steadily increased. This is absolutely wrong, and we discussed in the video of 29th week of 2016. Not only that, subsequently also number of times we discussed the capital infusion. That means government initially announced 25,000, 25,000, 10,000, 10,000. This was announced, and subsequently here in 2017-18 and 18-19, government announced around 2.11 lakh crores of package, and prior to that, those aspects also we discussed. So this statement is absolutely wrong, and please view the clipping. It will infuse capital to the extent of rupees 25,000 crores each during the financial years 2015-16 and 16-17, and at the same time rupees 10,000 crore 2017-18 and rupees 10,000 crore 2018-19. Then if you see this here, Sikkim is the first organic state that I explained through my lectures, and at the same time this also I explained through my lectures. I am not able to find the clipping of this, and this one we are able to find, and this one I am not able to find the clipping. And of course the first one, how to eliminate it, very easy, because once this second is correct, this cannot be under Ministry of Rural Development. So from that perspective, you can easily answer this question. Please look into the clipping, but I am not able to get the clipping for this particular point. So from examination perspective, Sikkim is the first organic state in our country. Right, so this is about money bill. Please watch the clipping. You can easily conclude that C is the answer. Right, please watch the video clipping pertaining to 2016, where we produced one separate module on money bill and financial bill. Right. Article 110(1) of the Constitution clearly says, here clauses are given from 110(1)(a) to G. Basically they deal with imposition, abolition, regulation of any tax, regulation of borrowing by the government, custody of Consolidated Fund of India or the Contingency Fund of India, or the withdrawal of monies from such fund, appropriation of monies from Consolidated Fund of India, declaring any expenditure charged to the Consolidated Fund of India. Look into this question. This is very simple question. I discussed during my editorial discussion. The value of the vote of each MLA varies from state to state. Absolutely correct. And the second one is value of vote of MPs of the Lok Sabha. Vote he is talking about. He is not talking about total votes. So therefore value of the vote. So this second statement is wrong. Right. From that perspective this is correct. And in fact, this particular aspect in 2017 we discussed 2-3 times. And if you look at this, I discussed a number of times that it is very easy to remember RCEP countries, ASEAN plus its 6 trade partners, right? So please watch the relevant video clippings. The 16 countries are 10 ASEAN countries and 6 ASEAN free trade agreement partners. These things don't forget. please look into this. These are 16 countries where this mega trade agreement of RCEP is going to be formulated. RCEP is nothing but the proposed trade bloc between 10 ASEAN countries plus 6. 10 plus 6 are ASEAN plus 6. So, these 6 countries are this Australia, New Zealand, then this China, India, then this South Korea, Japan. So, these are the 16 countries. Right friends, if you look at this question, this is about Digital India. In fact, we discussed 3-4 times about Digital India and it has got 9 pillars. So, from those pillars, it is quite evident that 1 and 2 cannot be part of Digital India, and please watch the video clipping. So, the program involves digital infrastructure as a utility. So, the main purpose is high speed internet must be available. Second point is the residents must have access to common services center. One is high speed internet, second one is a common service center, and third one is shareable private space on a public cloud. And government has given 9 pillars. Please look into the PPT right side. Government listed out the main things which are to be executed under Digital India. One is a broadband highway, universal access to mobile connectivity, public internet access, e-governance, e-kranti, like that.
Next issue is about the Union government to announcing the completion of the first phase of BharatNet project, and BharatNet project is also called the backbone of the Digital India initiative. So, the second phase is going to initiate from November 2017 and it has to be connect the remaining 1.5 lakh gram panchayats out of the total 2.5 lakh gram panchayats which needed to be connected by this optical fibers or optical cables. So, BharatNet project is to provide affordable broadband services in rural and remote areas with partnership from state and private sector. So, it will give, or its aim is to give affordable high speed broadband connectivity ranging from 2 Mbps to 20 Mbps, and it empowers Digital India, and it also is expected, the project is expected to catalyze digital delivery of the service of rural poor like health, education, livelihood, skills, e-agriculture. So, these all services will be provided by BharatNet or will be distributed by BharatNet across all the gram panchayats which are digitally connected or which will be digitally connected within the completion of the BharatNet second phase. And it will also provide huge number of direct and indirect job opportunities.
Look into the next one. Number of times we discussed these places. Aleppo is in Syria. In fact, we produced one module on Aleppo and Syria crisis. Right? Kirkuk we produced with the map. It is situated in Iraq. Right? Mosul, we discussed number of times about Mosul. Right? So, these are all there from the editorial lectures. So, this is Aleppo and Syria crisis. We produced one module. And this Kirkuk we produced when we were discussing about Iraq and Syria. Please watch this map. And similarly, Mosul was also discussed in Iraq. So, if you know these things, you can easily answer the question. Then, if you look at this, this is no criminal proceedings can be instituted. We discussed in the editorial discussion of 21st April. And please watch the clipping. And if you know the first point, second point is a common sense related point. Right, please watch the clipping. Article 361(2), Article 361(2) gives protection to President and Governor of the state. Here, no criminal proceedings whatsoever shall be instituted or continued against the President or Governor of any state in any court during his term of office. Right, if you look at third, very simple question, we discussed number of times. Please watch the clipping. United States of America is deploying third missile defense system in South Korea. and this in fact in future may strain the relations between USA and China further. Then if you look at Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, we discussed in the policies and programs as well as previously also, and the first one is wrong. All of you are familiar about it, and I am enclosing the video clippings for this particular thing. And one more important aspect is here unregulated workforce, and we discussed about prior learning. The aspect of prior learning we discussed in detail, so please watch the video clipping. So therefore here this is the right option because one is wrong, so you can easily do if you do not know second point also. This is the flagship program of MSDE. So to provide short term training as well as recognition of prior learning. We have already seen what is the meaning of recognition of prior learning. Then Barren Island volcano. Please look into this video clipping. We discussed it through our lectures. Please watch this video clipping, then you may not have any doubt. India's only live volcano at Barren Island in Andaman and Nicobar Islands became active again. India's only live volcano is at Barren Island. It is lying dormant for the past 150 years and it last erupted in 1991. And subsequently it is showing intermittent activity. So if someone talks about a Barren Island, it is India's only live volcano. Where is it situated? It is situated in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Please don't forget. Right friends, look at the next one. Proposis juliflora. Madam explained in the revision modules. Please watch the video clipping.
One of the most important plant invasive species was the Semi-Caruvelum or Proposis juliflora.
Then this one Catalonia I discussed number of times, and Crimea also I discussed number of times. That was annexed by Russia. Number of times I explained, and if you know 1 and 2, the answer is very simple because second one is wrong. So therefore this can be the option. So please watch the video clipping. And in fact this Catalonia, Crimea I discussed umpteen number of times, and this is Crimea, and with the map also I explained a number of times. And along with this, please watch the video clipping pertaining to Catalonia. This is Spain, which has got coastline with both Atlantic and Mediterranean, and towards northeastern part this is Catalonia region. This is towards northeastern part of Spain. This is Catalonia region. Look at the next one. This is with regard to IRNSS. Please watch this video clipping which we produced during the revision modules, MCQs of revision. It will be crystal clear to you. From the ISRO side, you can see 4 satellites will be in the geosynchronous orbit. 3 will be in the geostationary orbit. Then it covers India and up to 1500 kilometers beyond the borders. Look into this question, GM mustard. With regard to GM mustard, I explained a number of times, in fact during the revision modules also, and here third one is wrong. And once you know that third one is wrong, by elimination process, this is the answer. Please watch this video capsule. It is developed by Delhi University scientists. It is government sponsored project, very, very important. Right friends, here we discussed through various lectures, CRI SPR, I discussed in the revision modules, blockchain technology, I discussed in the revision modules, and Bell 2 experiment, I discussed in the editorial lectures. And please look into this video capsule. Here the cryptocurrency works based on blockchain technology. Here it is a decentralized ledger. CRI SPR, gene editing technology. What is the meaning of genetic modification? Genetic modification is any organism whose genetic material has been altered by using genetic engineering techniques. Then this question, I told you number of times about Internet of Things. Please watch this module. What do you understand by the Internet of Things? Interconnection of various air conditioners with various devices. your mobile will have the connectivity to air conditioner in your house, refrigerator in your house, microwave oven in your house, or you can say the smartphone is going to control all these things in future. So that is Internet of Things. Then it is with regard to the photovoltaic units, and in fact these things I told you, first one indirectly, second one directly. You can watch the relevant video capsule, and this is in fact wrong because of the reason. This is also wrong, of course. The first one is wrong, and I told you number of times, India should grab the opportunity of manufacturing electric batteries, because we have lost the thing in the manufacturing of solar equipment. We should not miss that opportunity. I told you number of times in the editorial lectures. So here both the statements are wrong. Anyhow, please view the video clip. Solar power tariff was hit a historic low of rupees 2.44 per unit during the solar auctions at Badla in Rajasthan. Then if you see this Champaran Satyagraha, this is very simple question. Please watch this. This is against the oppression of the Champaran's farmers by white planters. And here the farmers were forced to dedicate 3 out of the 20 parts of their land, 3 out of 20 parts of their land to the cultivation of indigo. The next one is legal tender money. I explained clearly in the editorial discussion. Please watch this. Legal tender means it cannot be refused by any citizen of the country in due course of transactions. You purchased something and you have given 100 rupee note, and no one can refuse this. Then this is absolute and per capita real GNP that do not connote a higher level of economic development if poverty and unemployment increase. And we discussed number of times. Here you see, easily by elimination process you can get the answer. Here industrial output, agricultural output, here this agricultural output, industrial output. So both are given in both the statements. You can easily eliminate both. Then imports grew faster than exports, right? In fact, when you are calculating GDP, net exports is one component. Right, net exports means exports minus imports, that is already taken care of in the GDP calculation, right? So if you infer, probably this may not be difficult, right? Look into the next one. This is about human capital formation, and I explained you number of times about tangible, intangible. I told you that intangible is our brain. This I explained you number of times by showing my brain. And at the same time, if you go back to this economy key terminology module, I explained about this human capital meaning, right? Some of the questions indicate even the NCERT books are still relevant. Please don't ignore NCERT books, because there are several questions from NCERT books. One is with regard to the spreading of the plant diseases, and the second one is with regard to human capital. Like that, around 3-4 questions are there which are from the basics. So please don't ignore NCERT books, right? So 2 and 4 is the right option here, because accumulation of intangible wealth. What is the meaning of human capital? Human capital means basically having a good education, good health, as well as skills development. Good education, good health, skills development, this makes human capital. Capital formation may not lead to significant increase in output due to, please watch my lectures. I need not tell anything more than that. That is incremental capital output ratio, or ICOR. I explained a number of times. ICOR, incremental capital output ratio, is increasing. ICOR, if it is less, it is better. ICOR, if it is more, it is not better. So ICOR is increasing. Then this is British rule in India. Please watch this lecture clip. Commercial crops were grown. In fact, to serve the British colonial interests, basically they promoted commercial form of agriculture. So commercialization of agriculture took place and farmers were producing cash crops like cotton, indigo in place of food crops, and this was ultimately to be used by the British industries. Then this Reserve Bank of India. Here I explained clearly about these things, and these are from the basics which I explained in economy. Right? If you watch this, then you may not have any difficulty. I talked in that lecture with regard to treasury bills. Treasury bills can only be issued by the central governments. I told that. Second one is RBI manages both Government of India securities and state governments securities also. So those two statements, please watch in the clip. Treasury bills, and they are issued by Reserve Bank of India on behalf of central government. When state governments are issuing these securities, the maximum time period is 10 years and they are known as state development loans, and they are also regulated by Reserve Bank of India. Right. Then Vannacry Pitya. I told you 3-4 times through editorial lectures. Please watch this clip. Apart from Vannacry and Petya, other ransomware attacks include that Loki, this Cerber, this Sharkras, all these things are other ransomware attacks. Then this is 6th mass extinction. This was explained by Madam through ecology and environment lectures. Please watch this clip. You may not have any doubt.
The next extinction, which has not yet occurred, but we are going towards it, is the Holocene or the Anthropocene extinction. It is the ongoing biodiversity reduction because of human-made or anthropogenic activities and the fast loss of genetic diversity. This is the 6th extinction which the scientists fear can occur if the biodiversity loss goes unchecked. And it is happening around 100 to 1000 times higher than any other background extinction.
Then, if you see capital adequacy ratio, please watch this clip. You may not have any doubt. And I explained this around 5-6 times during my lectures. The capital is required because if the banks wants to give more loans, then it requires more money as its own capital. That means bank's stability is very important. So if a bank's loan growth rate is to be 15%, 20%, then it requires more capital, because when more capital is there with the banks, then they can sustain the risks. Effectively, they can face the risks. So banks' capital adequacy ratio, they have to ensure 9% of the loans, 9% of the risk-weighted assets or loans, you can say. So 9% capital they have to maintain by March 2019 as per the Basel norms. Then if you see here the starvation, please watch my video clip. You may not have any doubt. I explained about 4 countries. Not only that, number of times we discussed about this subsequently also. Around 20 million people are on the brink of a famine, including 1.4 million children as per UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Risk of a famine is staring in the world in some countries like Nigeria, certain parts of Nigeria. Northeastern part is worst affected because of extremism. South Sudan, because 2 groups are one against the other and almost the country is at the brink of civil war. Then Somalia, Yemen, already Yemen civil war is going on. Then this is with regard to the parliamentary committee scrutinizes the reports, and I discussed in the editorial discussions with regard to various committees, and this is very simple question. That means I discussed number of times about the sub rules, bylaws and regulations, rules, all these things. Right, and the committee which looks at them, committee on subordinate legislation, but of course this is very simple question. Then 2-state solution, please watch this, it will be clear to you. This is about Israel-Palestine issue. India is committed to the 2-state solution for the Israel-Palestine issue. Then this is National Food Security Act. here I told about this first point in the brainstorming as well as revision of the PIB section, and here if you listen carefully, the first one is clear, first one is in fact wrong, you can come to the conclusion, but third option requires a little bit of inference, because in my lectures I talked about the calories for children, right? If you are able to infer that this 1600 is not there, 600 is there, that means for children also the nutritional intake is from around 450 calories or so, it depends on class. And if you infer that lecture, this may not create any problem to you while answering this question, but this statement requires inference, and this all of you are familiar, I hope. 75% of rural, 50% of urban people are expected to be covered. That means they have already been covered, you can say. Specifically mentioned what should be the calories, what should be the proteins for children of primary classes, for children of upper primary classes. Then this is, please watch this, it will be very clear to you. And GI indication is governed by WTO's TRIPS agreement, that is the first point. Then BHIM app, this I talked in my lectures, and not only that, this is very crude statement, and I told in the lectures chip pin debit card will have two-factor authentication. We discussed about magnetic stripe cards versus chip pin cards. So this is absolutely wrong. 4 factors of authentication. Authentication is a two-factor authentication, right? And when you remember this, you can easily answer this. And the first statement I explained through the lectures, please watch this clip. It is a digital payment solution app based on UPI and directly linked to the bank account. Then if you see this, you can easily answer if you have gone through this particular lecture. Please watch this, then you may not have any problem in inferring Bengaluru. Please watch this clip. This is traveling from west to east, so one should have clear idea about longitudes. So if you look at it here, Bengaluru 77.6, I have rounded it off to the first decimal point. Then this is Delhi 77.1, then Bhopal 77.4, Bengaluru 77.6, Hyderabad is 78.5. Then this is, I told you number of times, please watch this clip. If you go to the conventions of 138 and 182, as per 138 convention, compulsory schooling, right? And the second one is, this prohibits employment of children in the worst forms of labor. Then it is with regard to this, here I would like to explain you, in the editorial discussions number of times we discussed about Lokpal and leader of opposition, and the 16th Lok Sabha does not have leader of opposition, which requires 10%. That aspect we discussed number of times. I could not take out the video clip, and here if you eliminate 3, this is the answer. This is very easy question to answer. Then here madam explained the role and duties of NGT and CPCB through her lectures recently. You can go through this video clip.
So the National Green Tribunal under the National Green Tribunal Act 2010 shall provide speedy environmental justice, and it will help reduce the burden of litigation in the higher courts, CPCB or Central Pollution Control Board. So it is a statutory organization.
Right. Then this is about merchant discount rate. I need not explain. Please go through this video clip. The money which is paid by this shop owner, that is shared by consumer bank, bank which installed POS, consumer bank, bank which installed POS, consumer bank means my bank, shopper's stop bank, then payment platform, whether it is a Visa or RuPay. So merchant discount rate, please understand, that is paid by the merchant. Then you see nuclear suppliers group. Please go through these 2 video clips, and it is very easy to answer this question. First you sign NPT, then you can become member of nuclear suppliers group. The doctrine is the members must be NPT signatories. You may have a doubt, why not critical category? Because of the reason India is not a member of NSG. Nuclear suppliers group controls export of fissile materials, equipment and technology globally. Then this is about FRBM Act. I explained you clearly about this 2-3 number of times. Please watch this video clip. At this point also I explained you in my lectures. Even one student asked a doubt about this, right? But I am not able to get the video clip for this particular thing. So this question is a little bit typical, but you can easily answer when you follow the lectures of learning space. These are the NCASing committee recommendations, still important from examination perspective. At present, the overall debt to GDP ratio is around 68-69%. It gave the recommendation to reduce it to 60% of GDP by 2023. Very important. Public debt must be limited to 60% of GDP by 2023, 40% for the center and 20% for the states. Then imported edible oils. Here you see, this I talked about, and in my lectures I told you 60%. That means India is importing 60% of its requirements of the edible oils, and the bill is around $10 billion. I told 3-4 times in the editorial lectures. So you can easily answer this. Not only that, recently there was one news report which I explained through my why and how lectures, that the government increased the customs duty. Right? So these two things, in fact, I explained through my lectures. Edible oils are around $11 billion. Then rule of law index. This one we discussed in the editorial, right? Please watch this clip. This World Justice Project releases this rule of law index. Then if you look at this ATMs, I explained about national financial switch, and please watch this. It is crystal clear. NPCI is brain behind most of the mechanisms. National financial switch is the product which facilitates interoperability of ATMs. So with national financial switch, only if I am SBI customer, I can go and withdraw money from Bank of Baroda. Right friends, this concludes this lecture, and we talked about various questions which we dealt with through our lectures, and for almost all the questions we enclosed the concerned video clips, but for around 4 or 5 questions we could not incorporate the relevant video clip. But these are the aspects which we taught, and certainly there is a lot of scope for improvement. Learning is the continuous process, and several students sent mails that they have written well by following the learning space lectures. And after the examination, we analyzed what more needs to be done to the students, and that one we are going to present in the second video. So please watch the second video. The name of the video is Lessons Learned from Prelims 2018. So these 2 videos please watch, and the second video which we are presenting along with this video, that is more important, because what course correction is needed for the students we are explaining by looking at this paper. Right friends, have a nice day. Thank you.